Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. Thank you all for joining me. Really appreciate it. Today we're going to be reviewing some stellar gameplay by none other than TNT. He's been a popular request to come on the channel now for a while. I'm really excited to have him on today. He is a Korean pro representing Nova Esports. He has also a YouTube channel. You guys should check that out. I'll have the link in the description. Of course, he's a Korean pro, but he doesn't speak, it doesn't commentate in his videos. It's really actually a good opportunity for you guys to watch him use a specific deck and try to learn his mannerisms, his strategy, the tactics that he used to pull off those victories. So today we're going to be reviewing his favorite deck right now in the current meta, and it's kind of a new and revised version of P.E.K.K.A. Control. Now you do still have the Battle Ram as your win condition, so don't be confused though. It's not necessarily a bridge spam deck. It's definitely a control deck, and we've also added in a third spell to this deck specifically for the current meta. So we have Log, we have Zap, and we have Poison. Basically right now, the word on the street is the feature update is going to be pushed back till early April. That's not 100% official, but you know, that's kind of from reliable sources at this point. So if we're looking at 2 months or so until the big feature update that we've been waiting for, is it going to be, you know, clan wars, new tournaments? Is it going to be just heroes? We don't know. Just heroes, I say that. It could be cool if done correctly, heroes, right? But hopefully we're hoping for a big thing like clan wars. Anyway, I think that we might get another balance update between then and now, though. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe in a month or so, another few weeks, we might receive another balance update, because it does seem like Zap Bait is even more out of control than it was prior to the previous balance changes, and this deck is built specifically to counter that, okay? And that's why you have the 3 spells in there. So with Royal Ghost, Zap, Poison, and Log, you should really not have a problem countering any sort of spammy bait that's coming your way with this deck. Now, one thing about this deck is you definitely want to be totally comfortable going into overtime. Playing for the draw if you're using this on ladder, which is, you know, it's mainly a challenge deck because of the cards in the levels, obviously. But definitely it's totally viable at the top of ladder, or if you have your cards at level standard for your kind of range, whatever arena you're in ladder. So anyway, you can see it has the P.E.K.K.A. as that big tank stopper. You're going to use her also kind of as your tank in this deck in a lot of situations. You'll see the TNT is not afraid to play the P.E.K.K.A. if he knows the opponent doesn't have a card that he needs the P.E.K.K.A. for, such as, you know, a Hog Rider or a tank, a giant, or a golem. In the Goizen meta right now, there's a lot of Goizen going around still. P.E.K.K.A. is beautiful to have in this deck, and if you don't need her in a deck like against a Zappy Bait matchup, by the way, this is the 12th win of this grand challenge, guys. If you don't need her in a matchup like this, you can play her in the back once you manufacture a positive elixir advantage, and you can try to execute a really big push. Now check this out here. I want to say this is a really crazy little push here. No, I think it's the next match, but we'll keep an eye open for that. We do reach that right tower with the Royal Ghost. By the way, guys, if you don't have Royal Ghost, or your Royal Ghost is under-leveled and you want to look for a substitution in this deck, I would recommend either adding Dark Prince or Baby Dragon, preferably Dark Prince. Reason being is because you do need that splash damage, especially in this meta with Mortar Bait everywhere, with the notorious and infamous Mega Knight Inferno Dragon bait deck, right? You're going to need an answer to all of those decks, especially just the new and improved bait deck going around with Prince and Ice Wizard, and of course the old school bait deck with the Log bait deck, right, that we just kind of saw. The newer version of that was Zappies in that last GC replay. So we have plenty of answers for all that bait, and I do think, circling back to my main point there, I do think that we're probably going to need another balance change. I don't think we can last another 2 months with this deck absolutely dominating the Mega Knight bait deck, Zap bait deck. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that, but in the meantime, this is a great option to play, really strong option to really counter the meta. This is a great 12-win deck right now. It might be the most reliable 12-win deck off meta, like a counter deck, if you're not going to use that Mega Knight deck, okay? So going to the gameplay here, oh, Royal Ghost, Dark Prince, yeah, that would be the sub. One more elixir, but you're going to need that splash. You also have Flying Machine in this deck. It's going to be a really strong Really strong air counter card, and it's just a great card to cycle in this deck, actually, because more often than not, it can protect the entire arena, meaning that it can target either lane, so it really kind of shuts down your opponent from getting something going if you play your I almost called it an air sweeper again. If you play your flying machine in the back. So we're going against an Expo matchup here, and you would think that Expo would be very easy for this deck, but Expo is so strong in the current meta. You know, we've really evolved past the times, past the days in Clash Royale lore, where if you had one tank in your deck, you could shut down an Expo deck. You know, we do have Battle Ram, Royal Ghost, and P.E.K.K.A. Royal Ghost, of course, not a good option against an Expo because he disappears, right? You need to distract that Expo. P.E.K.K.A. is a great option, but you're going to need more because people often have a plan in their Expo decks for dealing with at least one tank, because almost every deck runs at least one tank nowadays. So just having the P.E.K.K.A. isn't enough. But of course, going against this matchup, you're definitely going to want to save your P.E.K.K.A. for that Expo. You're never going to want to play your P.E.K.K.A. behind the King Tower unless you're sure the Expo is out of rotation for your opponent. So here, TNT opts not to zap on that Battle Ram there, because he knows he's going to need a little bit of elixir here to stop this Expo. And he actually does. You can see every time that the P.E.K.K.A. dies, he's going to go ahead and deploy the Log as well as the Royal Ghost to try to kind of keep ahead and chip away at that Expo. Also doing a little bit of damage to that right tower. A pro play there by Gabriel R.A. actually pulling that P.E.K.K.A. away and getting the Expo to lock on. We zapped it back onto the Royal Ghost, I believe, maybe? I don't know. But we're going to have to go ahead and deploy another Log here. Royal Ghost is activated, so we have plenty of distraction this go-round. But of course, we always want to be aware of that Expo. And again, we're already into overtime here, guys. I said that earlier, right? This is going to be a deck where you're going to have to be comfortable playing defensively, reactively, and then bring the match into overtime, pick up your victory, waiting for the opponent to make their mistakes. You'll have an answer. You'll have an option in this deck for anything that your opponent could possibly throw at you. So there it is, the very first rocket from Gabriel, and we're going to make him pay here. So he opts to rocket cycle with about 3 minutes left, potentially, in this match. So we're going to kind of go all out here in the left lane. We resist the poison there against those skeletons in the Mega Minion, and we save our elixir, and we go double lane push. Now, this is a maneuver that you guys can use with this deck as well. Now, look at this. Everything actually gets pulled into the right lane there. That's the move that I was talking about in the first replay that was pretty crazy. The P.E.K.K.A. and the Royal Ghost end up swapping lanes to the right lane, and we just keep adding the pressure to both lanes here. You remember, it started with the initial P.E.K.K.A. in the flying machine in the left. We hit the bridge hard with the Battle Ram on the right, and then we hit the bridge hard again with the P.E.K.K.A. on the left. And that really, you know, you might be looking at that gameplay and saying, wow, that looks like bridge spam to me, Ash. And it's really not. I mean, it's just a punish play. It's a punish for the opponent using that rocket for no value. You know, Gabriel opted to rocket cycle really early there. So once we knew we had the 6 elixir advantage with the P.E.K.K.A. on the arena, at that point, we were in punish mode, meaning if we kept spamming, we would pick up the victory inevitably, and we did there. Let's watch this deck. Now, Logic is really, I wonder if that's Logic. If it is, shout out to Logic, man. He's a great guy. Because Spaces 360 clan, I think they, whatever. Anyway, we're going to play some defense here. A really interesting deck that we're going against here, guys. It's a Sparky Miner deck. Now, that is a deck. Wow. I'd love to try this deck out. However, I do think that Bandit is pretty weak in the current meta, so I'm not sure if I would go Bandit in this deck necessarily. Of course, you know, she has her uses, and she'll shine at portions in this match. But especially with Royal Ghost, absolutely just shuts down the Bandit if played before she goes into her dash, right? So here we go. It's going to be a little bit of Battle Ram, a little push here on the left, going into that Executioner, forcing the opponent to use their NATO. And I say that because the flying machine was actually right off the, you can see how he places his battle ram and the flying machine, so there's a little bit of space so that Executioner or any sort of a splash damage won't hit them both, right? Unless they use the tornado, as was the case in that scenario. So we opt to zap the tower there. Really want to wait till the opponent makes the play. They play a bandit. We're going to answer with a Royal Ghost there. So exchanging blows, and the Royal Ghost still has about 50% HP left, and he's obviously not going to get to the tower, but we went ahead and we lured out another 3 elixir out of our opponent there, and he's not going to get really any damage off of us, just one spear from that goblin on the right tower. So here we go. Flying Machine almost locks on to that left tower. However, Flying Machine, for as strong as it is right now, remember, not a lot of hit points, so definitely not going to be able to stand a chance against an Executioner. So we're going to go ahead and poison there in the right and get those barbarians actually to the tower, get one swing off on that tower. Dealing with Sparky is not that big of a deal in this deck. Now, Sparky is more than just a trash can on wheels. If you guys missed my Sparky at 6,700 trophies video yesterday, be sure to check that out. It was a really, really awesome deck. It was not this deck, though, and look at that perfectly timed zap on that Sparky, guys. That was really the difference in this match. Making sure you count is a 4 count between Sparky blows. So if you nail your zap timing, you shouldn't have an issue with this deck with the zap spell. And remember, even if you use your zap spell, if you're going against a zap bait deck or a log bait deck, you still have your poison and your log to fall back on. Just don't get caught in like a super awkward situation with this deck where you have Battle Ram, P.E.K.K.A, I guess what, Royal Ghost and Mega Knight, I guess, or Mega Minion, excuse me. I guess that would be the most awkward hand. So you do have to be cognizant of your rotation and making sure that you keep things moving. You don't want to get caught. Battle Ram's a tricky card to have in your hand at all times, right? So I guess I'll just end the video with that thought. Is from somebody who plays a lot of Battle Ram with 3 Musketeers, I can tell you that you should be very careful. Look at that bandit, by the way, got right through that Royal Ghost. Wow. You should be very, very careful with your Battle Ram. It should never be in your hand like the entire game, as maybe a P.E.K.K.A would be if you had absolutely no use for it. You should really at least be cycling your Battle Ram when you have the positive elixir advantage, even if it's solo and you just hover zap in case they play bats or skeletons, because it will keep your rotation moving, and it will keep your log, your zap, your poison, your most important spells in rotation for when you need them. It's definitely an important point just to kind of cover before we end this video while playing this powerful counter deck. And there you go. The Flying Machine actually does get the final hit, or was it poison? I'm not sure there on that right tower. Nevertheless, we come out with a victory, and it was a really awesome deck. I really enjoyed this video. So huge shout out again to TNT, guys. Check out his YouTube channel. The links will be in the description below. Huge shout out to Bren Chong. Make sure you follow Bren, my YouTube partner, in the description below as well. He's doing daily giveaways and all kinds of fun stuff on Twitter, so make sure you go ahead and toss him a follow. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it, and as always, take care, guys.